Alright guys, how's it going? I am the Crown Clown and we're coming right back at you with another video. So today we're actually doing What If Deku is Isekai to Fairy Tail Part 3. This is my third attempt to try to record this, so yeah. But before we get started, I want to let you guys know about a few things. So, the first two major things and then onto a special announcement. So, the first thing is, Lucy will get more time, not in this episode, but in the next one. Okay, she'll have a big role to play in the Grand Magic Games because that arc basically kind of revolved around Lucy. There's really no way you can do it without incorporating Lucy into it. So, yes, Lucy will be incorporated into this. And no, I don't hate Lucy. I just don't think she's my favorite character, if I'm being honest. But I'm doing things the way I would actually see them unfolding. Because, yeah, that's just how I do my what ifs. Regardless of if I like the character or not, if I see it's going to go one way, I'm not going to put my personal feelings for that character ahead and just do that. No, that's just how I see it going. And second thing, Deku's not going to return to the MHA world. He's not going back to that universe. Basically, all the events that you guys are wanting to see Deku go back and just clap, remember, he's 21. He would be 21 in that world. Meaning, the time that took to pass is all the way through. And Bakugo's 21. All those characters are aged up. Meaning, the events of the My Hero world happened already. The war arc, it's happened already. Shigaraki's attack, it happened already. Because you can't have one universe at a higher time speed than the other one. Because, well, you could, but that just wouldn't make any real sense to me. So, yes, Deku is in the Fairy Tail universe to stay. But I will have a special interaction with the My Hero universe at the very end in the final episode. So, with that in mind, let's get on to the special announcement, which is on a little bit of a higher note. So, it's come to my attention that we are almost at 3,000 subscribers. Just 4 days ago, we hit 2,000. This growth is insane, but I welcome it. And for the 3K special, I've been talking with members of the Clown Mafia family, and, well, it's basically on the Discord. Remember, if you want a chance to be have a character that you make incorporated into any of the stories I do, join the Discord, be active, because I only allow mods to put characters into the story, and we talk about this in mod only groups. If you want to become a mod, there's certain steps you'll have to take to be there, but this is what I'm going to do. You guys already saw the little hint at it on the community tab today, well, yesterday at the time of this, but you get the point. I'm doing What If the Crown Clown Mafia was in My Hero Academia. And no, it's not replacing overhauls. No, we're just adding ourselves into the story. I'm doing all the storyboarding and story details myself. I just had the mods create their own characters, and I'm tying that into the story. So if we hit 2.8 or 2.9, like after this day, then on Monday I will do a live stream, and I will do basically going over each and every character that's going to be in there, their backstory, their powers, their weaknesses, and how everything's going to be set up for the story to take care and go in a rolling fashion. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into a quick little recap where we last left off on the story. So where we last left off, Deku and Mira Jane got married because it's been a year now since the Tenro Island crew went missing. And with that, there's actually a lot of stuff that's going to happen. Like, the Fairy Tail Guild is going to go under drastic changes. And I'm only going to be covering about 2 to 3 years of the Grand Magic games, and it's my own personal games that I've come up with. So, with that out of the way, let me tell you which characters are going to primarily get the focus this time around. It's going to be Deku, of course, Wendy, Mira, Max, and Bisky, which is the sniper lady, and Max is the guy who uses the sand magic. Because that's the team for all throughout the Grand Magic games until the Tenro Island team gets back. So, with that out of the way, let's jump right into the story and pick up where we last left off. So, after winning the first Grand Magic games, Deku actually realizes that there's a lot of steep competition. And there's a guild out there that could potentially become a rival for Fairy Tail if they don't step up everyone's training. So, with Wendy, this leads into her training as a dragon slayer, learning slayer magic from Deku as well as learning it from poor Isekaed, because yes, that interaction did still happen. And yes, she is willing to help Wendy because she does have a soft spot for Wendy. And Wendy not having any family in this, and Deku and Mira Jane being, married, they decide to adopt Wendy. So, Wendy is now Wendy Midoriya, daughter of Izuku Midoriya and Mira Jane Midoriya. So, with that, we lead into their training. As basically, Wendy's training is very rough and rugged. It's very labor intensive because Mira's training her in hand-to-hand combat to get her to the strength of being able to handle a demon soul with pure brute strength. Basically, they're increasing Wendy's overall strength and aesthetic to the max. And she's actually growing. Like, she's going to end up looking like her Edelus counterpart. Because that's the most, representation we'd have of what Wendy would look like if she was grown up, in a sense. So, yes, Wendy actually grows up and ends up growing into her Edelus counterpart within the years to come. As Fairy Tail keeps winning the Grand Magic games year after year. With this, it's been 3 years. And during those 3 years, word's gotten around that Fairy Tail's the guild to beat. And Wendy is actually growing a lot more powerful. She's been the first one that's been pushed to the brink from a training session with Deku and Mira Jane, as they were both tag teaming her. Nearly beaten and Mira not letting up, and neither did Deku, Wendy was forced. It was a life or death situation. She had to tap in to the Dragon Force. And she did. She activated her Dragon Force and exceeded Deku's expectations tremendously, as she was actually able to damage him and push him back in the Dragon Force mode. And Wendy realized with this power, she'd have to learn to master it and control it, so that way she could teach the other Dragon Slayers how to do it as well. As Wendy would pass out from the sheer exhaustion that the Dragon Force would put onto her, Deku would grab her before she hit the ground and said, "Good job, Wendy." As Wendy would say, "Thanks." As Mira would say, "You've grown into such a strong person." And Deku would ask Mira, "Are you alright with not taking over as Guildmaster?" As Mira would say, "Yeah, I'm alright, because right now, no one else is strong enough to take my place. And until that day happens, I'm not going to, back down from this fight." As Deku says, "I understand. Let's continue." And basically, they move on with training. As Deku would start training Max, seeing as how Wendy's strong enough to handle her own. As Biscuit would be trained by Urza and Wendy. But Max would, actually benefit a lot from Deku's training, as he uses sand magic and Deku could teach him the sand coffin and sand burial techniques, along with Grand Sand Mausoleum. Which, yes, I'm taking Gaara's moves, but hey, who cares? They're awesome. As Max would learn to also use Quicksand and Sand Tornado, along with Sand Shovel, as he would realize sand magic has a lot more uses. As Deku would say, "You're a lot stronger now." As Max would tell him, "Thank you. It's all because of you." As Deku says, "Yeah, well, you're not S-Class yet, so keep training." As Deku would realize, with the increase in strength of their team, along with their other guild members becoming a lot stronger, he would also realize that Romeo would need to be trained. His father was being a bit too strict, so Deku would actually walk in there and talk to Makao, saying, "Hey, you know the Grand Magic Games are coming up soon, right?" Makao says, "Don't worry, we'll win like we always do." As Deku says, "It's about time we start training some new blood. Eventually, all you old members are going to need to back down. And what happens if something were to come up while the Magic Games are going on, and Romeo would be left defenseless?" As Makao would say, "But he's been," and Deku says, "Look, let me train him." As Makao would say, "Fine, you can train Romeo." As Romeo would actually begin training under Deku, as Deku would start to teach him the art of Earth Godslayer magic, realizing it would be more beneficial to have someone who could start to learn and understand the process of Earth Godslayer magic for the future. Just in case Deku wasn't always there, they could have somebody else who would later grow into someone just as strong, if not stronger, than Deku. And Romeo would actually start to understand the principles, although he would want to learn more fire magic instead. Deku would tell him it's fine, whichever form of magic he wanted to learn, he would understand and would support him in, and would do his best to teach him. As Romeo would say, "Thank you." As Romeo would say he wants to learn fire. So, Deku would stop his Earth Godslayer training. He would say, "Are you sure?" As Romeo would say, "Yeah, I want to become a fire slayer." As he says, "A slayer, huh? Not just a fire mage?" As he would say, "No, I want to become a fire slayer." As Deku would say, "Well then, it looks like we're going on a job." As Romeo says, "What? I'm not allowed to," and Deku says, "It's fine, as long as you're with me. Wendy can come too. That way Makao doesn't have anything to bitch about. After all, he's let that whole master title go straight to his head. He doesn't realize that it's not going to be him that's the master. It's actually Mira. He needs to learn that before he starts making decisions that's going to get everyone hurt or worse." As Romeo would say, "I'm sorry that my dad's acting like that, but you shouldn't talk so bad about him." As Deku just says, "I'm not talking bad about him. I'm just saying he's enjoying being the master, but he's not doing any of the work that comes with it. That's not someone you should strive to become, Romeo. You need to be better." As Romeo would say, "Sure, but where are we going?" As Deku would take him to Poorly Isekaed and ask if she knew the whereabouts of an ancient library. And yes, I'm just throwing this in. This is my own little canon thing that isn't actually canon. So yeah, deal with it. As Poorly Isekaed would say, No, I don't. Why? As Deku would say, I need it. It's time that we learn some new types of magic. As Deku would say, specifically, God Slayer magic. As Polyuska would say, for the boy or for you. Deku would say both. As Polyuska says, I don't think I could help you. However, I might be able to help the boy. As Deku says, that's fair enough. As Romeo says, then why would you agree to help me if you weren't going to get anything out of it? And Deku just kneels down and says, because we need you to be big and strong one day, Romeo. One day I'm going to retire from the guild. I need to know that there's people that can handle it. After all, worst case scenario, no one's coming back. We have to be strong for them. Understand? As Romeo says, but what if they just got sent to another world? And Deku would tell him that's not how it works. I'm sorry, but this time, I don't think they're coming back. Romeo would actually begin to acknowledge that. And he would start to cry as Deku would comfort him. And Wendy would say, it'll be alright. Don't worry. We'll get over it, but we just have to accept it. After all, it's been 3 years. As Romeo would say, I know. I just don't want it to be true. As Polyuska says, she knows the location of an ancient book. It's hidden and heavily protected, but if you can prove yourself worthy, they should allow you to take the book. So, they go on admission, and they see an underground labyrinth, as Deku is able to help them maneuver all the way through it and get to the chamber where the book lies. As Deku would just break through all of their defenses, as Wendy would shoot over them into the air, grabbing the book and meeting them right on the other side. As she says, got it. As Deku would look through it, he would see that these are the spells for Fire God Slayer magic. And he would tell Romeo, when we get back, your training begins. You will become a God Slayer. As Romeo says, thank you. As they get back, they would immediately start Romeo's training. It would be hell for Romeo, but he would do it willingly. And he would actually start to get the foundations of his God Slayer magic, but he still has a lot to work to do. It's not something you'll just master overnight. So, all throughout those years, one more year passes, and Fairy Tail wins, but this time they hear 5 new members have joined Sabretooth. Those 5 members being Orga, the memory magic guy, who his name is actually pretty forgettable. And you have Sting, Rong, and Minerva. As Orga would actually be boasting about him being the Lightning God Slayer, and Deku would just say, what a loudmouth. But something would actually happen before that. As Romeo's powers would go out of control, he would hit Deku with it. As Deku just realized this is something that can't be blocked. He doesn't have enough time. The fire hits him. But he starts to eat it. He starts to ingest the flames as he's growing them down. But before he can fully get them down, he starts to choke and he just spits it back out. As he's just like, I can't. I don't know how Natsu could do it. Just chunking down that Ethereon. That's just no. As Romeo just says, I'm sorry. Deku says, it's alright, just get more control over it. As he would start to look into if God Slayers could eat other elements. Or is that just something that Dragon Slayers could do? He doesn't know. As he does more research into it, as poor Isekaed's helping him. So basically, the next year is just Deku doing research on different types of God Slayer magic, seeing if he could ingest them and gain their attributes somehow. Because he realizes Earth magic is starting to get a little bit outmatched. He needs a boost. Wendy does too. So Deku would actually be teaching Wendy the fundamentals of trying to channel different elements at the same time that he's trying to learn it as well, as poor Isekaed would be their instructor. Meanwhile, with Mira would actually be doing the finishing touches with Max and Biscuit, as they're getting ready for the next Grand Magic Games. As the time rolls around, they start heading to the capital once more. As they march in, they see all of their competition. As Deku sees Lamia Scales and sees Mermaid Heel as well. But Mermaid Heel has a new member this year. They have Simon. So yeah, Simon's actually in this. As Deku would say, good to see you. As Simon would say, same to you. I just wish Urza was still here. As Kaguya would still be in the guild, but yeah, I'm gonna say she's here a little bit earlier. As for Sharia, she's not really here. Not at all. She hasn't joined up yet. So yeah, one less God Slayer. And basically, Juro would see him and say, I see you're planning to win again this year, huh? As Deku would say, sure am. So, to replace Sharia, I'm just gonna have Sherry step in. Yeah, because, of course. As for the Blue Pegasus group, they would just keep their distance from Deku. They really don't like him after the whole Ration Seis thing. They still don't like Deku. Which means, since the people that they did like are gone from Fairy Tail, Blue Pegasus and Fairy Tail actually have a very strained relationship at the moment. As basically, they're more enemies than friends. Basically, but Jenny, she's still there. And she still tries to mess with Urza and tries to flirt with Deku still. Even though Deku literally pays her no mind. And Mira gives her the death glares immediately. But this is the first time Deku is seeing the new Sabretooth members. As he says, new members, huh? And Sabretooth is actually just like walking up to Fairy Tail as they're like, we're the new Sabretooth members. As Sting and Rogue look at Wendy and say, so, you're the Sky Dragon Slayer, huh? I guess you must have been the strongest dragon if Natsu went and kicked the bucket. Some pathetic dragon slayer who couldn't even, kill a dragon. As Wendy's eyes just get filled with rage. As Deku just says, you better watch your damn mouth, kid. I don't care who you are. We'll stomp you to the ground. And that's when Olga actually gets up there on Deku and says, yeah, well, you better watch out. Just an earth mage, right? Well, I'm a god slayer. As Deku would say, well, god slayer, you're talking to another god. As Sting and Rogue are just like, wait, what? As Wendy says, he's the Earth God Slayer. Has been for a long time. As Orga says, oh, God versus God. I kind of like the sound of that. As Deku tells him, you'll be in the dirt, and I'll be burying you after the match. I'll make sure to bring a shovel. As Orga just tells him, I'll be counting on you to not disappoint me and die too soon. as Minerva looks at Mira and just says, let's see who the best woman is. As Mira says, sure, they're a lot more friendly. Because Mira doesn't have a reputation as being the queen of fairy tale. All they know is that she's a potential new master after, the current one steps down. So Minerva's not too really on a high horse with Mira at all. Not like Urza, since Urza was known as the queen of fairy tale to Tanya. Still. So that relationship is actually getting to get a little bit smooth over. But Sting is actually shaking in fear a little bit after Deku made his declaration. So, we get into the first event, which I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The first event is a foot race, as Wendy is actually the first one to join in. And she just says, oh, make sure to win, as Rogue actually competes in this one. And Wendy's actually very, very curious about Rogue's powers. Since he's wearing all black and he's a dragon slayer, she's wondering what element he is, because he didn't really say. As for Carla, she's about ready to just cheer on Wendy. As Wendy gets ready to go, she makes a wager with Rogue that if she wins, Rogue has to hit her with, some of his power. As Rogue says, sure. And Wendy says, what do you want in exchange? And Rogue says, if you win, just leave me alone. And Wendy says, fair enough. So, as the race is set, Wendy's not wanting to lose. She's charging up, as she's about to show off something she's never showed off before in a Grand Magic Games, because she's never had to. But she's wanting to win. So, with Rogue about to disappear into the shadows, as Wendy's noticing, she unleashes Dragon Force. As they say go, Wendy, basically just books it. Like, she's gone. The wind is just propelled her so fast, faster than even Rogue can go in his shadows. As Rogue realizes he's gonna lose, and he sees that Wendy's hair has changed from blue to pink, as Wendy books it all the way across Fiore's capital, and actually is the first one to arrive back in the arena, winning the first point. Because Dragon Force is a huge burst of speed, along with power itself. So, being in second place, Rogue says, well, deal's a deal. As he basically just blasts Wendy when she's not even looking. Luckily though, Wendy's had a lot of practice, and she's about to test out the new lessons that Deku and Porliuska has been giving her over the past year. As she inhales Rogue's shadows, and Rogue's just like, what? As Wendy just eats his shadows, gaining the power of the Shadow and the Sky Dragon. As she looks at Sting and just says, you're next. As Sting's just like, did she just eat his shadow? And Minerva would actually be saying, that's not possible, is it? As even their master would look and just say, this is ridiculous. As basically, Orga's just like, could God Slayers do that? As basically Deku just stares at him and just says, you're next. As the next section up is one-on-one fights, and this will be the final event for the day. As basically the first fight is Deku versus Orga, or Olga, whichever way it's pronounced. I'll probably just switch between the pronunciations, so yeah. Anyway, so Olga is getting ready to just charge right at Deku. And Deku, he's ready for him. He's loose, he's stretched, like, he's just ready to get down to business. And Mira's cheering him on. And Jenny is actually just saying, if you win, I'll show you a good time. As Mira just grabs Jenny by the throat and says, listen here, skank. Go flirt with somebody else. He's mine. After all, the ring says it all, bitch. As she just throws Jenny down and says, if we fight, just know I'm gonna bury you. And basically, I'm gonna say Quattro Cerberus isn't a thing yet, so they're not here. But Twilight Ogre is. Just like fodder, but still. Anyways, so Orca basically just blasts Deku with lightning, trying to keep his distance. Big mistake, as Deku just eats his lightning and says, well now, I guess you could call me the Lightning Earth God. As he says, Lightning Earth Gods howl, as he blasts a huge howl right at Orga, basically blasting him back and charging him up and hitting him with the Earth Hammer right across the face so hard it shatters the Earth Hammer and knocks out Orga, breaking his jaw. As everyone just sees that, they're just like, what the fuck? And it's like Sting's just freaking out. He's just like, they're monsters. As basically, he sees the big three of Fairy Tail just staring them down, saying, it's war you wanted, it's war you'll get. As basically Sting just looks into their eyes, he sees the evil look that they're giving him. He regrets ever talking bad about Natsu. As it's going on, like the next fight happens, and I'm gonna say it's Hot Eye. Yes, Hot Eye. He's here because I'm having him replace Toby. Because think about it, if Hot Eye joined Lamia Skills, he would be a big member, a part of that now. So yeah. And he actually fights Simon. So Simon's power is telepathy and darkness magic. So yes, he has two types of magic. As Hot Eyes is just the earth magic. Well, earth, rock, whatever you want to call it. And basically, it's a pretty even fight if you really think about it. Hot Eye uses earth, Simon just blasts it with darkness. As he rushes in, and I'm gonna say Simon would actually win, since Urza being presumed dead would actually motivate him to train even harder, especially since he wanted to win her heart away from Jalal, who Jalal is actually in prison because yeah, he's not getting out. I mean, that's not happening. As Simon takes the win, Kagura would be celebrating her brother's new win. She would actually be a lot happier and not all evil, sadistic, and cold-hearted like that. No, she would actually be very happy and cheerful. She would actually be like Miliana, who's actually also joined up with the guild along Simon. So, yeah, it's a little happy moment. That day ends, and the next day that, turns around, the first event is a shooting contest. As Biscuit enters and easily dominates it. Like, no way in hell. Like, she just wins right then and there. And she just gets the point. Now, the second match of the day is actually something a little bit different. It's not skills of any kind. It's something completely goofy. It's a game of tag. As basically they're using their magic powers to play tag. To take somebody's band off of them, you have to infuse your own magic with it. So, yes. And the person who ends up playing this is Max. As Max is actually pretty alright with this, and you can use your magic all throughout the city in order to avoid your opponents or confuse them, but as long as you have your tag and any other opponent's tags, you have, points. If you lose your tag, you immediately have to drop out of the magic games, and you will be teleported back to the arena. So with that, basically, the deal of tag begins. And actually, the people who are in it from the other guilds is Sting is in this one. And I'm going to say Jura is in it. Kagura is in it. And I'm going to say Ichi is in it as well. So yeah, that happens. And I'm going to actually say that Sting would easily take Ichi as, come on now. Ichi is a throwaway character here. If there's any Ichi fans out there watching this video, I just gotta ask, why? Just why? But anyway. So, with that out of the way, Ichi would be disqualified first. And Sting would have 2. He'd just run away for the majority, because Juro would actually take Max's, because I don't care how strong Max gets, he's not beating Jura. Jura's second in power to Deku on the 10 Wizard Saints. So yeah, Juro's not gonna be taking this line down, and he actually wins. So with Max eliminated and the other guild members just all being kind of fodder, it's Sting would actually take out more of them than what Jura could, just because he's faster than the old man. And Sting would win off pure points alone, getting Sabretooth's first win of the Grand Magic Games. As he would actually feel pretty happy, and Max would feel pretty lousy that he got beat by that. As Minerva tells him he did good, as the Guildmaster is pleased with Sting in this. So, with that day done, it's another day down, another day to go. Fairy Tail still leading, and Sabretooth in a close second, tied with Lamia Scales. Well, not Lamia Scales, but Mermaid Heel. My bad. And basically, it's pretty much like anybody's game still. As the next battle is actually, Revis, the memory mate guy. Yeah, he joins in. Can't believe I just remembered his name, but oh well. He joins in, and I'm gonna say Leon does as well. And this is where Revis gets his ice make memory from. It's not from Gray, but it's from Leon. So yes, that actually happens. Leon versus Revis. Mira will actually fight against, Jenny, of course. And Mira's pretty much ready for it. As soon as they say go, it's go time. And of course, all the other fodder characters, they'll still, just be fodder. Because, yeah, why not? So, after that all happens, the winners for the different matchups would be Revis over Leon. And Leon would be humiliated. But he would see this as a chance to learn from his weakness and grow more as a wizard. And, in the Mira fight, Mira pretty much just bodies Jenny. It's not even a cap. No contest. No contest. So, basically, that ends day number 3 or 4. But I'm basically just about to speed through this because this is actually getting pretty long, and I still got 2 other years to go through. So, yeah. Let's just say that, other days come and go, and basically Fairy Tail wins in the end, but Sabretooth is now a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, it's actually pretty solid. And the next year is mainly just focused on Deku honing his new abilities and Wendy training her new abilities as well. But she would actually go over there and visit with Sabretooth to kind of ask Rogue for pointers on how to use the shadows, and Rogue would actually oblige her because he's actually a nice guy. Mira would actually be spending a lot more time with Minerva since Wendy would be going over there, and Mira wouldn't want Wendy going to Sabretooth by herself. So Minerva would actually be asking Mira about her relationship with Deku and how that she actually does that. Like, how do they care about each other so much? Because Minerva is actually starting to have a thing for Rogue, and she wants to ask Mira how she actually initiated the relationship, and she said that, well, she was just confident, and one day she had enough of hiding how she felt, and she just decided to go over there and tell him. And that she was actually the one that proposed to Deku. Mira would be caught, not Mira, but Minerva would be caught so off guard by this, as she'd be like, so, you basically just, you told him? As Mira would be, is that surprising? And, Minerva would say, yeah, he's so confident. I would never have expected you were the one who initiated things. As Mira says, yeah, he's confident and all, but he's so, business focused that it's just, she had to. Or else he would have took forever with it. And she says, if you like him, just tell him. I'm pretty sure he likes you too. After all, he's kept looking at you over here this whole time. As Minerva would actually say, really? As Pierre would say, I promise you, he has. As Minerva would just say, you're right. As she would actually walk over to Sting and ask him to leave her and Rogue alone for a little bit. As Wendy would say, hey Sting, give me some of your power. As Sting would just be like, what? No. And Wendy says, okay, how about we just fight then? As Sting says, alright, sure. As Sting could actually help her, get a handle on her shadow powers, but Wendy has something a little bit more sinister in mind, and Sting has no idea about it. But Minerva gets Rogue all by himself, as she says, I want you. Rogue would be like, I'm sorry, but what? As Frosh would be like, Frosh wants Rogue too. As Minerva would just say, too bad, he's mine. As Frosh would say, no, he's mine. As Rogue would be kind of just like, I'm sorry, but what do you mean you want me? You want me to join you on a mission or what? I mean, I don't understand. As Mira would say, you boys are all so dense. She wants you to be her boyfriend. Is that so hard to understand? As Rogue says, you didn't need to go that slow. As Mira just says, I couldn't tell. And just says, I spelled it out for him. Now it's just up to him. As she walks off and tries to find where Wendy went. She doesn't want Wendy hanging around Sting by herself. As Sting's just like, wait, you told me you weren't gonna eat it. As basically Wendy just eats Sting's light powers and just says, okay, that was cool. As now she has 3 elements. As she is now known all throughout Fiore as the Twilight Sky Dragon Slayer. And everyone just says, yo, did you hear about what Twilight did? And Twilight being Wendy, of course. But Wendy would still have that sweet personality, but she would just be more mischievous and more manipulative to get what she wants. She'd get that from Mira. And she would be way more aggressive with getting what she wants. So, yeah. After that, she would basically take the rest of the year to try and learn the best she could to use her Twilight powers, as Deku completely gets like 50% control over his. The next Magic Games would actually happen, and to no surprise, Sabretooth would come in second again. Fairy Tail would get the first place. As for this, like, Deku would pretty much just be happy. And with that out of the way, it's just like, what's next? The next Magic Games is coming up. And Romeo's training, it's progressed smoothly. He's really come into his own fire type mage. Even if he is a fire godslayer, Deku decides not to try and eat Romeo's flames. He's actually trying to figure out something better that could work out for him. But that's when they actually get a call from not Blue Pegasus, because Blue Pegasus not on good terms with Fairy Tail, like at all, but Lamia Scales and Mermaid Heel. They actually have their own ship, and they were out at sea on a job and happened to come by the Tenro Island ruins, and there's something out there. As Fairy Tail would set sail with Deku and Mira going alongside Wendy and Romeo this time. And when they get there, they see the island appear right out of the ocean. As they would step onto the island, they would say, "It's still here." It's unbelievable to them. But as they walked through the island, Deku could sense where every single one of their bodies were. As he would say, "Follow me, now." As he would actually rush, as Wendy would be close behind, as they'd see Natsu there, lying unconscious in the dirt. As basically, Deku, he's 28 now. So is Mira. Wendy, she's like, I'm gonna say, hold on, how old is she in canon? So Wendy would actually be 17. Natsu would awaken and actually see Wendy, and he would say, "Huh? Who are you?" As she would say, "Natsu, it's me, Wendy." As he would look and see a much older Deku, as he would say, "Welcome back, little brother." As Natsu would just say, wait, what happened?" As that's when Mavis would appear and would actually tell everybody what happened. Being filled in, they would get everybody else up out of the rocky slumber that they've been in. Deku would actually see Loxus. And this is the first time he's seen Loxus in like 7 years now. And when Ganjo and Cobra see Deku, they're just like, "Wait a minute here. You're still Deku, right? You're Izuku?" As Deku would be saying, "Yeah, you guys did great. I heard about everything you did." As Gajo and Cobra would just say, "Yeah, thanks." As Deku would actually give them a hug and say, "You've changed dramatically." As he would look at Cobra and say, "Kiana never gave up hope for you." As Cobra would say, "How long have we been out?" Deku would say, 7 years. As Cobra would just be like, "She's been waiting for 7 years." As Deku would say, yeah, but don't worry, she's in a good place. And basically, like, Deku would go around and he would see Makarov, picking him up, as Makarov would just say, thank you for that. As he would look at Mira and just say, so, what's the next guildmaster out here doing? As Mira would tell him she's not the guildmaster. As Makarov's like, who's been running the guild? Mira say, well, actually me, but not in name. I needed to compete, as they would tell everybody about the Grand Magic Games, as Natsu would be actually very interested in it. And basically, like, everyone would be like, oh, okay. As basically Guild Arts would walk up and Natsu would just say, oh, hey, Guild Arts, as Deku would say, Dad. Kana would hear the word Dad and be like, wait a minute. What? As Guild Arts said, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention, I kinda adopted this kid when he first came over. As Kana's just like, I flirted with him! You mean to tell me he's my stepbrother and I flirted with him? As Deku would just say, isn't that kinda like an oh no step bro? As Kana would just be like, no, don't you dare say that. As she would just say, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink. As Loxus would just say, I need one too. As Kana would just say, hold me, Loxus. As she would just like shake near him, as Loxus would just say, hey, get your hands off me. Just because you flirted with him, Kana just says, don't you finish that damn sentence. As basically Deku's just laughing, and Makarov says, oh, so you gonna tell us about the rings? As Elfin would just say, wait a minute, don't tell me. As Lizana would be like, don't tell me, Mira. As, you know, Deku would say, me and Mira got married. As he would say and pull Wendy over, if we adopted Wendy as our daughter. And, like, everyone just be like, you guys are a family? As Urza would just say, we missed your wedding. As Mira would say, well, that's not the only one you missed. As she would just say, no, I can't take this. We're having another wedding when we get back. I have to be a part of it. As Urza would just say, I needed to be there. Lizana would just come up and say, why didn't you guys wait for us? As Deku says, we waited a whole year. You guys didn't come back. As, you know, they say, yeah, good point. And Deku just looks at Elfman and says, so, how'd your relationship progress in the 7 years? Elfman would just say, we were asleep the whole time, man. Come on. As Deku just says, good, then you shouldn't be sleeping on the way back. As they say, the way back to what? As they boat to the ship, you know. And basically, they all get on the ship. Natsu's still Natsu, and he gets motion sickness. So does Wendy, and Cobra, and Gajio. So yeah, the dragons are pretty much out. As basically, the whole deal that goes around is just like Deku explaining all the changes, and wants to say that he actually made a change to the guild hall that he hopes they like. As I just like, wait, what change to the guild hall did you make? As Lucy would just say, so am I not going to be allowed on missions anymore? As Deku says, well, you survived a dragon, I suppose you could survive missions. As she's just like, really? As Deku says, yeah, I really don't care anymore. As far as I'm concerned, you've paid for that little lie you told us, and then some. After all, you lost 7 years of your life. It'd be kind of a dick of me to keep holding that against you. As Lucy would just say thank you, but she remembers that she has to pay 7 years worth of rent. As Deku just says, oh no, we kept up with it. As Lucy would just say, wait, you paid my rent? As Deku says, oh no, not your rent. Like, we got all your stuff out of your room before, yeah, so we got all your stuff, but your room, I don't think it's available anymore. As Lucy's just like, where am I gonna live? As Deku would just say, don't worry, you'll see when we get there. And Makarov just asks, so what's gonna happen when we get back? And Mira tells them, easy. She's kicking Makarov off the Guildmaster high seat he's been on, and she's taking over. As Makarov says, I haven't been on no high seat. And she says, oh, my bad, Makao. That guy, he's getting kicked off. As Deku says, I can sense a shovel. As, Romeo would walk over to Natsu and just say, hey Natsu, look what I can do. As he would show Natsu his Godslayer flames. As Natsu would just say, what, you're one of them too? As Romeo just says, yeah, but I mean, Deku and Wendy got a lot way stronger. As Natsu would just say, how much stronger? As basically Deku would just tell them he's the Lightning Earth God Slayer now, and Wendy would say that she's the Twilight Sky Dragon. As Cobra's just like, wait, you're the what now? As Wendy says, she has the power of shadows, she has the power of the white light, and she has the power of the sky. And all in Dragon Slayers. As Cobra's just like, the girl got overpowered so quickly. As Lox is just like, wait a minute, so you can use lightning now? As Deku tells him, yeah, pretty cool, huh? As he just lets off a bolt of black lightning. As Lox is just like, but that's my whole thing, man, come on. As Deku just says, sorry, but you can ask Kana if she'll share the, whole deal of booze that we got. As Kana's literally just chugging the whole freaking crate by herself. She wants to forget that she ever did any type of flirting with Deku. As Gildarts is actually just catching up with Deku, and Deku's telling him about all the things and the new prospects that's been happening and all that. As Gildarts says, looks like we'll have a lot to catch up on. As Deku would say, yeah, Dad, you really do. As basically the whole deal would actually start getting a lot better for them, as he would just say that he can't wait to show him what he's been missing and to welcome him back to the new fairy tale. And that's where I'm going to be leaving it off. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did enjoy, I would appreciate it if you left a like, comment, subscribe. As always, I'm the Crown Clown, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Later.